Hey, and welcome to another episode of Rankum. Today, we are continuing along with horror movies. This time, we're going back into the 70s. We've done sort of every other decade at the moment. We've still got to go earlier now, but we've got a great panel here to me on this side. We've got Kevin. Kevin, how's it going?
It's going really well. I appreciate you having me on. It's kind of a last-minute addition, but love horror movies, so excited to delve into these.
Yep. And next down, we've got Kerry. Kerry, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. And he's not on screen at the moment. We've also got Chad here. There he is. He's making an entrance.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Yeah, I'm excited for this. I'm trying to watch more 70s horror, but I think we have a pretty good list going on here. Let's do this thing.
Yeah. That being said, how the show works is we're going to go around the round table. Everyone's going to nominate a horror movie they think belongs on a top 12 list, and then at the end we rank them. And yeah, and Kevin, I'm going to go to you first.
Okay. I guess I will go ahead and go with my favorite 70s horror movie. It's not really a surprise to anybody. I love the whole series. It is John Carpenter's Halloween. It's Jamie Lee Curtis's, is just an awesome final girl. She's kind of the first final girl, I guess you could say. She could establish that legacy. So, that's I definitely want Halloween to be on the list. So I'll go ahead and throw that out there.
But Chad, what do you say about Halloween?
Yeah, I got a kitty Michael Myers on my shirt here. It's actually the wife's shirt today. This is actually my number 2 on my list because when I first saw this movie, I didn't appreciate it at all. I was like, what is this? Isn't even scary. This is like weird, and all the stuff is bad. And then I started to appreciate movies more. And then I was like, holy shit, I love the genius of this movie. Like every critic that I know talks about this movie loves this movie, and for good reason. It's just like so well crafted that, we watch it every single Halloween, and, it's not giving me jump scares, but there's most of the time it's because I've seen it before. But it's just everything's crafted so well that just, I just enjoy watching it. And Laurie Strode is one of the best final girls ever. So. Boom, Halloween.
Kerry, what do you say about Halloween?
Yeah, I 100% agree. This was on my list as well, like number 4, although that's really flexible. Like Chad said, we watch this every Halloween. It's never a chore. It's always just a great film to put on and get a little spooked out. Even just hearing that music is so perfect. And Michael Myers is such a great villain. It's just great.
We actually went to a horror drive-through, and instead of the music they supplied, we just put on that soundtrack, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
And this is usually our big Halloween watch too. So we watch it on Halloween because it's perfect.
Yeah. With that, Halloween does make the list. This is one that I haven't seen in a long time, but I remember enjoying it the first time I watched it. I need to do a rewatch of this series at some stage, but it's just hard to find on streaming and that. With that, we go to Chad for his next pick.
All right. I'm going to go into it with this one. I'm going to go with my favorite one. I've actually only seen this movie once, I'll admit, but I want to see it more. It's The Exorcist. I named myself Chadzuzu there after Pazuzu. And, this movie, when I first saw this movie, I didn't see it all the way through. I was a child, and my mom rented this for me one time, and I knew it was a scary movie. I didn't know much about it. I knew it was like a demon thing. And then basically, I got to the part where she runs down the stairs backwards, and I went, nope, I'm watching Chicken Run. And so I ended up watching Chicken Run that day instead. And I didn't want to watch it after that, but then the wife really got me into horror because she loves horror, and now I do too. And so basically, we watched it one night in a cabin in Pennsylvania, right? No, Gettysburg. Yeah, that is Pennsylvania. That is in Gettysburg, and basically in the woods, and it was so creepy. And now I have it on Steelbook, and it's amazing. Linda Blair's performance, the priest performance, the mom's. Oh, what's her name? She's up for a Oscar. She's probably going to be up for an Oscar. The mom. I forget her.
Ellen Burstyn.
Yeah. And yeah, so this movie, all the makeup and effects, I think, still hold up. It's scary as hell. And, you know, it's a slow burn. And I really love those where it just builds and builds and builds to this very climactic point. So I don't know. I think this is one of the most epic horror movies ever. And I don't think it has been topped. Maybe Hereditary comes close, but, you know, it's one of the seminal ones for me.
Kiri, what would you have said about, what do you say about The Exorcist?
Yeah, I agree. The Exorcist is, I think, one of the top 70s horror movies, and it really just established a whole new genre of horror movies with the demonic possession and, you know, maybe help spawn the Satanic Panic, which was not a good thing. But as a horror film, it's fantastic. I think it just hits all of the notes. And I don't know. I remember the first time I watched this when I was like 12 or 13 and just like hiding under the covers for like most of the second half of the movie. And I loved the book it was based on. Cool. And it's just a classic.
Yeah, this is an absolute yes for me as well. I love The Exorcist. I mean, this is another one I haven't. I think I went back to it a few years ago, but I don't go back to it regularly. But I mean, it's one of those ones that is probably going to get a lot of the themes, especially with the 70s and when we get to 60s eventually. Like a lot of the horror movies of the early times were slow burns, and they aren't as quick to get to a scare as they are nowadays. But that doesn't stop them not being good. But Kevin, what would you have said about The Exorcist?
The Exorcist is one of my favorites. Like you guys said, though, it's kind of interesting that you guys also don't go to it very often, because I love The Exorcist, but like this past Halloween or past Halloween season was the first time I'd seen it in a couple of years. But yeah, I love the novel as well. William Peter Blatty is a great novelist. And it's like that taboo nature of it that makes it, it's kind of ahead of its time, I guess is the best way to put it. But it would have been a definite yes for me.
But yeah, it's on to me, and I'm going to preface this by saying, going through the 70s horror movies, I realised I've not seen a lot of them. So this is going to be interesting here, because I may end up dipping out partly because I've run out of picks because everyone else has come up. But I'm going to go to one I actually managed to watch for the first time the other day. That is one I've been putting off for so long, just to annoy people, but just to be able to keep saying I've never seen this movie, and that's Alien. Alien is a really good movie. Finally got around to watching it. Had to buy it to watch it because it was not on streaming, but I think I've actually owned it for about a couple of weeks and just haven't found a reason to watch it until now, obviously. But Alien belongs on this list. Sigourney Weaver is great. Kevin, what do you say?
Yeah, I 100% agree. You know, they've made 6 or 7 sequels to this. And although the other ones may be more sci-fi, fantasy, and not so much horror, Alien is definite horror in all of its glory. I love the chest burster scene. Sigourney Weaver's great in the Ford that she is in. So, yeah, Alien would have been an easy one for me, yes.
Chad, what do you say about Alien?
Yeah, I love Alien. I got to this one kind of later too, but not too much later. But when when I first saw it, this movie it's just like it's iconic. It has another great final girl in it with Ellen Ripley, and for me, when I first watched it, I'm like, tell me that cat's gonna survive. That's all I really care about is that cat. And spoiler alert, it does. So that's great for that movie. Basically, it's just one of those where a thing picking off other things, but it just does it so well in like a sci-fi environment, and just like the aesthetic of the ship and the steam and the computer mother or whatever, or mom, whatever they call it, and on the Nostromo, and the look of the aliens really cool with all the slobber and stuff like that, and it's just the jump scares are effective, and it's just one of those, the chest burster scene where apparently like people didn't know that was going to happen or something. And just like, they make really good characters in this movie. And I feel like that's one of its strengths. You don't feel anybody's really disposable. You care that they die. You really love Ellen Ripley, and that moves forward into the second one, which is also amazing, but I still think the first is better. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just directed really well. I really love that movie, Alien for the win.
And Kiri, what would you have said about Alien?
Yeah, 100% agree. This is definitely one of my favorite movies from the time period. I think it's just it was such a great move, and maybe it was because they couldn't really, I don't know if they couldn't afford the special effects or what, but to not show the monster so much in the movie and really until the very end when you think like everything's over, it just makes it all that more terrifying, because especially in your first watch you don't really know what you're looking for. So it's just a great movie.
Yeah, and if that Alien does make the list, and we go to
Carrie.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think I actually went to Kiri. Kiri, what's your first nomination?
Okay, so my first up will be probably my all-time favorite for 70s horror, which is The Omen. This is one of like 2 or 3 horror movies I had on VHS when I was a kid, so I would just constantly go back to it. I don't know, I guess I had like a thing, like demon possession really terrified me. I grew up Catholic, so that's probably why. And I think the kills still, for the most part, some of the effects don't hold up as much, but I think the kills, for the most part, still hold up in this movie. It's still very terrifying, and just the thought of like, if you have kids, like, what if your kid is just this little demonic monster? So yeah, this is my favorite 70s horror movie.
Yeah, this is one I actually don't remember if I've seen or not. I know I've seen the remake, The Omen 666, that came out recently. But yeah, I honestly can't say anything about this because I don't know if I've seen this version of it. Kevin, what do you say about The Omen?
Yeah, I love The Omen. The 70s version. I'm not sure what year it came out, 75 or 76. But Gregory Peck is great in it. It really establishes that the Antichrist thing. I love those kind of movies. So yeah, it's I mean, I know this list is building rather quickly, but I feel like The Omen is a good fit. So I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, Chad, what do you say about the Omen?
Yeah, The Omen, man. I mean, that's kind of another one that I watched around the same time frame of as The Exorcist, maybe a little earlier. But that, just all these like children horror movies are great, where the kid is creepy. They did a comedy one called Little Evil on Netflix recently. That one's hilarious. But yeah, like The Omen, going back to The Omen and like another kid one. I can't remember if that one's 70s or not, but I don't want to ruin it just in case it is. But The Omens is one of the first, and it's creepy as hell. It's another slow burn. You get this really creepy kid. doing creepy ass things. And the thing with him though is like he's this like little demon kid. Sure, he's like spawn of the devil, but like he doesn't really like kill people. He's not like a little Chucky. He like influences people. He gets people to like love him and stuff, and then he gets them to jump out of windows.
If that's even him, it's like great because it's kind of ambiguous.
Sure, yeah. I mean, there's layers to this movie, and I do love the slow burn aspect of it, and it just takes its time to really build like this really great story. And it's been a while since I've seen it. We need to rewatch that one more often, I feel like. But yeah, that movie's creepy as hell. I like it a lot.
And in fact, The Omen does make the list. And then we go back to Kevin. Kevin, what is your next nomination?
My next one is another one that people I'm sure know that I am fairly fond of. It's Steven Spielberg's first big hit, I would say, Jaws. It's one I like to watch during the summer, incidentally, but it's a great horror movie. The score by John Williams is fantastic, and it's always giving me that. I don't have a fear of going into the water, but I love the idea behind that. Just giving people that nervousness of what's beneath the deep. And it set up a lot of spin-offs type movies and stuff like that. But yeah, between the score and the direction and just the adaptation from Peter Benchley's novel, it's a great film.
But yeah, I don't know what Chad's going to say. He may not have had a costume change since the last he spoke. But Chad, what do you say?
Yeah. No, this is actually the wife's shirt again. I didn't have any like really good movie shirts. I wanted to buy an Exorcist one, and then I was like, it's not going to get here in time. She was like, just wear my shirts. So yeah, this is Jaws, dude. I mean, like Spielberg just is one of the best directors. I mean, he's kind of hit like a downturn in recent years. I mean, he has some like good ones recently, I feel like, but back then is where he was like on fire, just like one of the best. And Jaws, it took me a while to kind of like appreciate that movie. But I mention him a lot, but Dan Murrell actually did this Why I Love Jaws video. And, I watched through that, and that just kind of made me love film more, but made me love Jaws more. And I rewatch it differently now since then. And we recently actually watched it at the drive-in, and it's such a beautiful movie. It's so well paced. They don't, kind of like we were just talking about Wonder Woman 1984 kind of, it's very convoluted, and they explain things to you too much. And Jaws doesn't do that a lot. It just shows you things visually. And you have to actually go, oh, that's why that's like that. And, oh, he's answering the phones because, he doesn't know which phone it is because he just moved in. They're showing that, they're not telling you that. And, so it's a great film first and foremost, but it also definitely hits that horror aspect because, you don't see the shark a lot, and you're always, worried about that shark, and the deaths are really grisly. And then, like, finally, when you do see the shark, you're like, oh, shit, there it is. And then you also have that one jump scare that you forget about sometimes when he's diving with the dead corpse under the water. And, Quint's death is just fantastic, too. And just like, everything that happens with Quint is just leading up to that. And then his speech is just one of the best. Most kind of like that's chilling right there, just that speech. We forget just how like a monologue in a movie can be, like a story can just send chills down your spine. You don't even need stuff jumping out at you all the time. So yeah, Jaws is fantastic. I love that movie.
Kiri, what do you have to say about Jaws?
Yeah, I have to agree. Jaws is such a classic, both just from a film perspective and then from a horror movie perspective. It hits so many good notes. And I don't know, this is just a great movie. You hear the music, and that's just like kind of a universal symbol for, there's something you're in danger, there's something behind you. And I came to this film pretty late in life too, but I just immediately loved it upon like first viewing. And it's a great rewatch. It's always just a fantastic film.
Jaws is great. There's not much more that I can say about this that hasn't already been said. But yeah, and also like just for the iconic quotes that as well. Just but yeah.
Thanks for getting that quote right, by the way. It is "You're gonna need a bigger bed."
Yeah, thank you. Yes, that is correct.
But with that said, going to go over to Chad's next nomination.
Okay, we're not that far on the. Okay, we're kind of far on the list. All right, yeah, I'm gonna go with one. Oh shit, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go with one that I've only seen once again. This one, but the director I love so much. And this movie doesn't really seem like a horror movie sometimes, but then sometimes it just has the weirdest, creepiest shit you've ever seen in a movie. And you're not surprised. Well, it's one of his first, but you're not surprised now knowing him. It's a David Lynch movie, and it's Eraserhead. And, you know, this movie is just, it's one of the creepiest movies. Just like, they have like a little baby and it's deformed and it's weird, and then all of a sudden there's a jump scare where he's like, "Oh, you're fine," and then it goes, "Bah!" And then the baby like frothing from the mouth and stuff with, you know, blisters all over it, and it's like, "Oh, you are sick," and that's kind of funny. But there's a jump scare and then comedy, and it's just like a bunch of this, and just David Lynch humor is just so weird, and I love it, and I'm just waiting. I'm like, please be as weird as possible, and then I regret it because I'm like, that was too weird, but I liked it. But anyways, yeah, so he cuts to like this dreamscape thing at one point. There's this lady with some big ass cheeks, and it's like, it that part really creeped me out. She scared me. I thought she was gonna like haunt my dreams and pop out of my closet sometime, and I don't know, it just, I think the thing about David Lynch is just his stuff is, even Twin Peaks, a lot of it's just so unsettling, and the fear of the unknown and just uncanny valley, and it's just all unsettling that just like you're not sure what's gonna come next. And I feel like that's his strength. But you know, he seems to always have some meaning behind it, even though he'll never give up his secrets. You know, David Lynch is a great director. I think Eraserhead is, it's so weird and obscure. I just really want to like watch it just to try to figure it out, but I know I probably never will. I love Eraserhead.
Kerry, what do you say about Eraserhead?
Oh, shoot. I guess I'll agree with this one for the list. It's hard because I think it's, I don't know. It's hard because I do think it influenced a lot of future horror films. For me, this was like one of the hardest movies I've ever like watched. Like I could barely get through it. But I guess that is part of what makes a good horror film, and in some respects, in some people's view. And it just made, I know the biggest thing it made me terrified of is like someone who might have kids one day. I think it really taps into that fear of like, you know, having children and what if something is wrong with them. And then also kind of the fear of, you know, getting trapped in everyday life. So I do think it's an effective movie. I think it sets out its purpose. So yeah, I guess I would put this one on the list.
Kevin, what do you say about Eraserhead?
I have to thank Adam Collins for making me watch every David Lynch film for a match. So yeah, I would not have known about this until this past year. But man, this was great. I loved Eraserhead. The weirdness of it, and unsettling is like the best way to describe it. You have like the woman in the radiator, the beautiful girl across the hall, and then the baby, you know, it doesn't have any skin on it, and then you have it's just so strange, and yeah, unsettling. That's like literally the only word that keeps coming to my head. But Yeah, I didn't know if anybody else would even have thought of this one, so I'm very happy that you brought it up. But yeah, I'm gonna say yes to Eraserhead.
I've just not seen Eraserhead, so it makes the list. I mean, it would have anyway. It doesn't really matter what I say at this point. But for me, my next one I'm going to go for is I'm going to save one because I'm pretty sure that was going to come up. I'm going to go for the long shot I've got here. I'm going to bring up Rocky Horror Picture Show. It is a horror parody. It's still a horror movie. This is a fun movie. I love it. I know this is one of those ones that there's a lot of hate in the community about Rocky Horror, but it's just one of those ones that I think is a fun movie. Like people will argue, oh, it's a comedy movie, it was a musical first and foremost. But it did pop up in the horror movies list when I was looking this up, so I'm going to count it. I don't mind if it doesn't make it on though. Kevin, what do you say about Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Yeah, I agree with you 100% that it's horror. It's not your normal idea of horror, but it's campy. I friggin' I love what's his name, Tim Curry and anything. Yeah. Well, this list could use a little spice for it, I think. So I'm gonna go with yes. I like the songs. They stick in my head every time I watch it. So it's one of the very few musicals actually that I enjoy. So I'm gonna say yes to this one.
Chad, what do you say about Rocky Horror?
Yeah, I definitely kind of agree. I don't really actually feel like this is that much of a long shot, Malcolm, that you thought it was probably going to be, because I just looked at Wikipedia and it classifies it like a horror musical comedy. Maybe not in that order, but it's kind of like it's horror style, and I mean, I love Scream. I love all these movies that, are horror. I wouldn't even call them horror adjacent, but like, I feel like horror is a broad thing, and a lot of things can qualify, and it definitely has like a horror like style to it, where it's in a creepy mansion. It's got like creepy songs. They're all dressed up in costumes. It's like a Halloween thing, kind of. I don't know. I don't know if it has ghosts or there's a Frankenstein's monster in it. There's a lot of cool stuff in it, and it's got a lot of great songs. I think I've only seen this once all the way through, but I definitely want to check it out again soon, because I think this movie is really fun and really exciting. And yeah, Tim Curry is the best. Damn, I forget all the other actors' names in it, but they're all great in it too. The girl who plays Janet, the woman who plays Janet,
Susan Sarandon.
Yes, that's what I was thinking of. I knew it was S something, but yeah. So yeah, I would definitely think we can use some spice, as Kevin said. Let's throw that on there.
Kiri, what would you have seen about Rocky Horror Picture Show?
I haven't seen it, which is like a really big shame. Like, we have it on Blu-ray, yeah, so we should watch it soon. But I've really mostly heard good things about this movie, and I can't imagine that I wouldn't like it, just knowing what I know about it.
And also, if you just a small plug for Critically Acclaimed, who aren't affiliated with us, they are currently doing a podcast series in which they go into all the things that the influences that movies that had influences on Rocky Horror Picture Show. So
Cool.
so if you want some behind this, like, find out the movies that influenced it, listen to Critically Acclaimed. They do good stuff over there.
Nice. That's Bibby, right?
Bibbs and Whitney, yeah. But Kiri, what is your next nomination?
Okay, my next one will be my namesake. Not really, but Carrie.
Not spelled the same.
Not spelled the same. Carrie. This movie, the first time I watched it, I remember my friend and I watched it with her mom was kind of watching it with us. We're just making fun of it the whole time. And like looking back, it's a fantastic movie. And there are so many great scares in it. But you know, the thing that really, we're making fun of it the whole time, and then at the very end, when her hand pops out of the grave, I think I jumped like a foot high. It was the most terrifying aspect. And this is a great movie to revisit. I think the acting is actually, for the most part, especially Sissy Spacek and Piper, I can't remember her last name, who plays the mom.
Oh yeah.
They're phenomenal actors, and they just do an amazing job. And just I think the real life aspect of this, rather than Carrie's telekinetic powers, are probably the most terrifying. I don't know. This is just one I love, and one of my favorite 70s horror movies.
Yeah. This is the one that I chose to not bring up because I knew it was going to come up eventually. But yeah, this is an easy yes for me. I love Carrie. Carrie is one of those ones that that I watch and always enjoy. I also really do like the remake they did with Chloe Grace Moretz, but that wasn't released in the 70s, so it wouldn't have counted. But this one does, so I'd say yes. Kevin, what do you say about Carrie?
Yeah, I love Carrie. I love Stephen King. I love Brian De Palma. And this was one of the few horror movies to be nominated for an Academy Award. So that's always a positive. But yeah, Piper Laurie is the name you were looking for, Carrie. But yeah, she's great. But Sissy Spacek just sells it 100%. She's awesome, and there are just some great shots in this. She does a great job taking it back to that high school vibe. And I think for it to be a 70s horror flick, it holds up very well. So yeah.
And Chad, what would you have said about Carrie?
Yeah, we're big Stephen King fans in this house. That's another one she got me into. And, you know, I've read this book. It was his first book. He almost like threw this book away, apparently. And then like, I think his wife like told him like, hey, grab that out of the trash and actually publish it or something. And, you know, Carrie, the book is like really amazing. And I feel like this one is really well adapted. They add a lot of like good stuff, like the hand at the end, I don't think is in the book. There's some stuff that I think makes the book different, and I really like the book quite a bit. But the film, you know, Sissy Spacek, like, I don't know. I mean, she's not the most like conventionally like beautiful girl, but like when she's in that dress at prom, you're like, oh damn, she is kind of beautiful actually. And like she, you know, she just doesn't think much of herself because she has a mom that's just, you know, insane and you know, basically abuses her, and she doesn't think much of herself until, you know, he actually, Tommy, I think, actually invites her to the prom. You know, he doesn't want to at first, but he does. And then I feel like they have a really nice time. And just like, you know, the characters are just so great. Even Tommy and the girl that asked him to take her, they're just also nice. And then, of course, you have the shitty kids. But the nice ones you really care about. And then I just feel like, dude, like, they win and it's amazing and you're like, oh, that's so fun, like, you know, they're having a great time and all this stuff, and then the pig's blood. And yes, I do feel bad for that damn pig, those shitty ass kids. And basically the blood pours all over them, and then she's pissed, but then the bucket hits damn Tommy on the head and he dies. And then like all hell pandemonium after that. And then, you know, the mom's crazy as hell. The performances are great. The, you know, I don't know. It's just a great movie. And so, you know, so yeah, I think all the imagery with the, you know, the religious stuff is great. So yeah, Carrie's a great movie. So Carrie.
Yeah, and Kevin, we go back to you for your next nomination.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and throw out one. I know it's been redone umpteen times, but the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think it's a great look into gore, but also it's a very artfully made film. I think every shot is thought through. It's got a lot of things that you wouldn't normally find in a movie in the 70s, I guess, like the cannibalism, the amputation, the mutilations, bondage, inbreeding, things like that. But it's done in such an artistic way that it's spawned a lot of remakes and a lot of and this one itself is just a really classic film to me. You feel a lot of feelings in it, and knowing it's based on a true story also kind of hits close to home, there. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre 74 is what I'm going to put up.
Chad, what do you say about Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Yeah, this is another one that I tried to watch early on ish, or maybe I watched the remake first and then I tried to watch this one and I'm like, what is this movie? But you watch it later when you start to actually appreciate film, and then you actually go, this is kind of really awesome the way they took it. It's kind of like Night of the Living Dead, which doesn't qualify. Where it just kind of, it doesn't look the way like a modern one would. So it's not classically jump scare all the time, and it may not be that kind of scary, but the themes in it are really creepy. The actual subject material is really creepy. It's isn't it Carrie would probably know all about this. It's based on Ed Gein or something. I'll let her talk about that more. But it's just a creepy ass family that eats people and wears them, and just this, I'm sure, inspired Silence of the Lambs and all that shit too, probably down the road, and all this weird stuff. But it's just back then in the 70s, you think of raw, grindhouse type of movie, and I'm just ugh, this movie's creepy. And just the way it's just you don't really see too much, but I think that probably kind of adds to the effect. You don't have to see everything for it to be, going back to Jaws and stuff, you don't have to see everything all the time for it to be oh, what happened with that stuff like that. So yeah, I think this movie's great. Just to think about that potentially happening to you while you're just chilling with your friends. And Texas Chainsaw Massacre is really good.
Yeah, and Kerry, what would you have said about Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree. This is such a fantastic movie. It's so scary. And like Kevin said, that disclaimer, I can't remember if it's the beginning or the end, but that it's oh, this is a true story, and these are the scene photos. It's terrifying, and I think that terrified me the most. The first few times I watched it, just you're not left with, and then at the end, the killer was caught, or even though there's a final girl and she survived, it's still, you're kind of left horrified. And just, it's, I think, a good balance between being gory but also being very watchable. So yeah, this is a great movie. I would definitely put it on the list.
You didn't talk about Ed Gein.
But yeah, so Texas Chainsaw Massacre makes the list. Chad, we go to you for your next nomination.
All right. Okay. I'm gonna go with one that we just watched, and had been meaning to watch this one, and it's very in the camp of my last kind of pick, and also very similar to an Evil Dead style. I checked. I was like, does the Evil Dead count? No, just missed. Damn it. No. So I was like, oh, does it? No, almost. But yeah, this one is so strange, but it's actually a foreign film, and I really like it a lot. It's Hausu, aka House. from I think 77. This movie is really strange. I don't know if everybody's seen it, but I feel like it deserves to be talked about. It's a Japanese film, and it's like a bunch of schoolgirls, and this one girl, main girl, basically has a her dad gets a new mom or gets a new wife after her mom like dies, and she decides that she wants to go see her aunt or something, and all the schoolgirls travel to see her aunt, and then this house is strange. Something's wrong with the aunt. There's like weird spells going on, green eyes glowing. She brings a cat with her named Blanche, and this cat is in like every shot of the movie. And it's always just meow, just like if you watch it, you'll know what I'm talking about if you haven't seen it. And basically, weird things start to happen. There's this like weird head that just pops out and just bites her on the butt. And that really made me think of Evil Dead right there. I was like, okay, this is it's such a strange movie, but like everything in the movie is basically like a horror element or kind of a horror trope, but it's back from the 70s. So I'm like, this inspired a lot of shit, I'm sure. It's got a Criterion release. It's the one thing that I really liked about this movie quite a bit is every single frame I feel like in this movie has some music to it. And it's just like it's just like follows the entire movie all the way through with a bunch of different like cuts, a lot of great imagery, and it just feels like art. It's kind of like Eraserhead in that way, where it just feels like abstract art mixed in with an actual story, which I'm sure there's one in Eraserhead somewhere. But yeah, Hausu I think is great. Yeah, this might actually be the long shot one. Let's see.
Kerry, have you seen House?
Yeah, so Chad and I watched it together recently.
Yesterday?
So no, it was a few days ago. And yeah, I would put this on the list. For the most part, I think it must have, I can't imagine it didn't influence Sam Raimi and Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, just with some of the ridiculous things that whatever the entity does. And the effects are just, and the shots are so trippy. It's kind of more of a fun horror movie, especially, looking back from, 2021. And just as a very early example of Japanese horror, I think it's a really good film. So yeah, I would put this one on the list.
Super fun movie.
But yeah, I haven't seen this. Kevin, have you seen House?
I have. I've seen Hausu. It's an acid trip. That's about the best way I can describe it. I know, like the scene you're talking about, where he's holding the girl's head, or holding the girl's head over the big pot, or the cat, whatever I'm talking about, that you boil stuff in. But yeah, it's very insane, I guess is the best way to put it. But it's a really good horror movie. I haven't seen it in a while. Only 3 slots left.
No, I did not.
I'm gonna politely say no to this one, but it's a good one though. I need to go back and rewatch it because it's been a minute, but yeah, I appreciate you guys reminding me of that.
Your list is probably longer than mine is. So.
But yeah, this is one that I'm actually going to say it makes the list. Partly because essentially with 4-panel, like I haven't seen it, so I'm not going to have that sort of count against it, so it doesn't make the list. So it means there's 2 out of the 3 people who've seen it. It means it makes the list. So House is making this list.
For that.
But with that being said, we go on to Kerry next.
Okay. Trying to decide between 2. Okay, I'll go with this one. I'll go with The Wicker Man. I think this is it's a fantastic movie, and I don't know. It's just terrifying just to have this like freaking village of weirdos who are like doing human sacrifice. And you go through the whole movie, it's kind of a mystery what's happened to this girl. The cop has come out to investigate her disappearance or murder. And just the whole end scene where they've just built this giant wooden statue. Yeah, the bees. Oh my god! And we got the remake out of it. So like, who wouldn't love to see Nicolas Cage freaking out about these?
Yeah, this is one of those ones where I've seen the remake. I haven't seen the original, so I can't say anything about this. Kevin, what do you say about the Wicker Man?
Yeah, the 70s version. It's a slow burn, but it's very good. Like you said, it's got that just the terrors that are in the British countryside. I love Christopher Lee as Lord Summerisle in this. Yeah, I mean, I prefer this one over the remake. But I think that's probably a consensus thing. But yeah, I'll say yes to this one.
Chad, what do you say about the Wicker Man?
Yeah, man. I mean, look, I don't actually really love either of them, like love or anything. I kind of want to watch the original again, but it's probably me thing. I think it's a great movie. And here's the thing about it. I think because as Carrie was talking about it, and she talked about kind of like the village coming together to sacrifice this man, and I'll spoil it. It's been a while. They actually sacrifice him, and it kind of, reminds me of like newer things we see, like, Drag Me to Hell, where it actually has like an ending, and you're like, whoa, okay. And so, a lot of these things where the thing that you're afraid might happen to the protagonist actually does happen to the protagonist. And, that's great. And just like the whole town, like, having like this ceremony, they're doing it maybe for the greater good, or they're just trying to appease some god or demon or whatever they're trying to do. They're doing it for the peace of their town. And it's kind of like Hot Fuzz and stuff like that, even where, there's a lot of movies that call back to this sort of thing. And I feel like The Wicker Man's one of the first probably to do it. I haven't done the research, but I'm sure it has. It's definitely influenced some stuff. And yeah, the performances, Christopher Lee, the main guy, I don't know his name. I probably should. And I feel like this one had like some sort of like weird, like Celtic kind of like jaunty song that played during it. That was really cool. And it had like a lot of really interesting music and weird imagery. It's definitely a creepy movie. And it gave us that amazing Nick Cage performance that we got later. I love Nick Cage, so I'm always down for him. But yeah, anyways, The Wicker Man, I think is a great movie. I need to check it out again.
Yeah, but with that, it is going to make the list. And observe people will notice I skipped myself in that round, partly because I've got nothing else to nominate, so which is why I initially made that decision. But Kevin, what is your next movie? And this could be the last lot.
Maybe
could be, but I had two, but I'm gonna go with this one. I'm gonna go with Dawn of the Dead. I know Night of the Living Dead is the original Romero film, but Dawn of the Dead is, in my mind, just as good, if not maybe a little better. I love the setting in the shopping mall. I think that given that confined space, it gave it a whole new idea behind it. And also the way it spawned, it spawned Zack Snyder's remake, which is probably his best film. And then movies like Shaun of the Dead. But there are a lot of zombie movies out there, but Night of the Living Dead 78 is I think Romero's. It's not. It's hard to say it's better than Night of the Living Dead, but it's Dawn of the Dead is a good one. So I'm going to go with Dawn of the Dead.
Chad, what do you say about Dawn of the Dead?
Yeah, Dawn of the Dead. I've only actually seen this one once, but I need to check it out again soon. Yeah, it's kind of weird because I think you can make an argument for the remake may even be better, which you couldn't have said for The Wicker Man, or at least it's on par with it, because the 2004 one is really good, and I've actually only seen that once recently as well. There's definitely an argument. I like that fire behind you. There's definitely an argument for it, but that I don't feel like it's like so far beyond above the original. I would probably maybe put Day of the Dead above this one, actually, because I think that one does a lot of really cool stuff. But Dawn of the Dead, this one, there was some humor in it. I was like playing pie in. I think they did a pie in a zombie's face,
yeah,
and stuff like that. There's just like a lot of silly shit, which I talk a lot about, like the Raimi films and stuff, and I just love silly horror a lot of the times too. Ghostface tripping all the time. I love that stuff. So, Dawn of the Dead's great, I feel like. And crap. I just briefly blanked out. Anyways, yeah, so Dawn of the Dead. The one thing that I did really love is all of the call forwards to Shaun of the Dead, where it had the music, and I was like, oh my God, that's Shaun of the Dead. I love this so much. I just love that they share that. It's a parody, but I think I'm going to say Shaun of the Dead maybe the better movie in my opinion. But I think this one is definitely an iconic classic, and it should be seen by everyone. It's a great movie. And Kel Mitchell's dad's in it from Kenan and Kel. So
true.
And Kerry, what would you have said on Dawn of the Dead?
Yeah, I agree with this, definitely. It's such a classic movie. I think one thing Chad brought up while we were watching it, I don't think he brought it up here, is you can tell there's that George Romero and just the industry in general is still figuring out zombies and what are the rules, what can they do, how fast are they moving. The special effects in this are absolutely phenomenal, and like Chad said, there's some humorous parts. It's great to kind of imagine yourself living in the mall for a week or so. After that, I'm sure it gets really old. Oh shoot, there was one thing I wanted to say, and now I've totally forgotten it. But that's okay. It's a great movie.
For sure.
I was hoping in the future remake of this, one of the characters just starts singing "Let's Go to the Ball" from How I Met Your Mother.
Today.
Yeah. But yeah, this is another case of I've seen the remake, but yeah, there's not much more I can say about this one. But yeah, and that closes out the list. But now we get to the fun part of ranking it.
Stressful for you?
But yeah, so everyone's going to write down on their board what they want to be at number 12 and all that. But before we do that, Kevin, did you have any honourable mentions?
I did. Sorry about that. Let me pull up my list here. I had, let's see, sorry. I had Invasion of the Body Snatchers. That was one that I definitely, I always loved. Donald Sutherland. We hit most of them. Don't Look Now was another one that I had. I was going to throw out Theater of Blood, but I didn't think anybody had seen it, and Phantasm. But That's about it. We hit pretty much all the big ones.
Chad, do you have any honorable mentions?
Absolutely, yeah. I also had Phantasm on there. I actually saw that recently. I quite liked it. Yeah, the other ones I had on there were Magic, which was Anthony Hopkins in that movie. It's got the dummy in it. That movie's creepy as hell. Deliverance. I feel like that counts, right? It's like a thriller more so, but I feel like it could count.
I mean, it came up on lists when I was looking for it. So
Okay, yeah. So that one's really creepy about like backwoods people trying to murder you and stuff. Black Christmas we saw recently. That one, I don't know if it's like a great movie, but that one was really creepy. Last House on the Left, one of Wes Craven's first, which I didn't love, but I feel like upon rewatch I might like it more. The Hills Have Eyes, another Wes Craven. Suspiria. Squirm.
That was my
Squirm was really gross. I didn't love Countess Dracula, but I still put it on my list. And
number 20.
I hate it. And then a really fun one, if you get a chance, is called Tourist Trap. It's on Shudder. This one's really weird. Where people like this guy like makes body zombie. I don't know. Just watch it. It's weird. But yeah, that's it.
Kerry, do you have any honorable mentions?
Yeah, the only one, and this is the one I was debating for my last nomination, was Invasion of the Body Snatchers, like Kevin mentioned. That's a great film.
Yeah.
But yeah, and in the chat, like Leo's brought up a couple. The original Stepford Wives.
Need to see that.
The original Hills Have Eyes. Black Christmas, which Chad already mentioned, and It's Alive.
It's Alive's a good one.
But yeah, but for that, we go to number 12. I've already got mine written down.
Same. Really?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
All right. If you didn't like it, it's fine.
But Kevin, what do you have for 12?
For 12, I'm going to go with Houseu.
All right, it's going to be
Chad.
No, I put Rocky Horror.
Kerry.
I put Houseu as well.
I also had Houseu.
That tracks.
I'll be honest, I fell asleep during it.
Oh, you did?
I was very tired.
Need to rewatch it.
Very Ed.
This is gonna be hard. There's so many good ones on this damn list.
No, man.
I'm like nitpicking
especially
hard
towards
here.
the end.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Really?
Sorry, Chad.
Disappoint me.
But Chad, what do you have for 11?
I mean, it tracks for you. I'm gonna stick with Rocky Horror for now.
Kerry.
Eraser had the most uncomfortable movie I've ever watched.
I put The Wicker Man. And Kevin.
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I mean, the one thing that's going to make it harder is when once we eventually do 60s and the classic horror ones, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a all-time horror movie list, but we can only nominate the ones that came in the top 12 of each respective decade.
That will be awesome.
But yeah, Kerry, what do you have for 10?
I will just stick with Eraserhead for now.
Yeah, I'm sticking with Wicker Man.
I'm going to go with The Wicker Man as well.
Chad.
Same.
I guess.
You're just really trying to spit in Lynch's face, aren't you?
Wait. I'm sorry. I just.
But Kevin, what do you have for 9?
I feel like 9's fair for Dawn of the Dead.
Chad, what do you have for 9?
Get me. Go to Carrie, please.
Kerry.
I'm just gonna stay with Eraserhead.
Yeah, I'll second his Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, this is gonna be interesting because I've got Eraserhead. So
Dawn of the
Leo,
Dead.
I have a
Leo,
feeling-
I hope you're in the chat, or whoever's in the chat, Eraserhead or Dawn of the Dead for 9. But yeah, like going for,
Need it.
but yeah, Leo said Eraserhead. So Eraserhead is going to be 9.
Okay.
But what I was about to say before I realised I was going to hear myself speak once I went to the YouTube video is going forward. The rule that I came up with today about the not having seen it, not counting it as a vote, and just doing the majority out of the people who have seen it is going to be the rule going forward on Rankum.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I like that idea.
But Kevin, what do you have?
Oh,
I'm gonna go stay with Dawn of the Dead.
I keep forgetting.
Kerry, what do you have for 8?
Yeah, Dawn of the Dead.
Chad,
Yeah, Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead.
All right.
Consensus.
Sweet and sweet. Oh, now it gets hard.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh. Oh.
Carrying on the same page.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or was it? There's no. Okay.
Oh no, I think you're right.
Yeah, I don't care. I'll put it.
I think
Kevin, what do you have for 7?
I'm gonna go with The Omen.
Ooh.
Chad, what do you have?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Kerry,
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. This is where it gets hard though.
yeah, we've got another type. So I've got The Omen.
Oh, interesting. This will be interesting.
So Leo, Dawn of the Dead. No, The Omen or Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
He's the only one in the chat.
I mean, it says there's 4 people watching, but I think Leo's the only ones that sort of said
Right.
stuff. But yeah, the Omen is going to be there because Leo got in first with that, but Lillian backed him up with The Omen as well.
Oh, why did I erase?
I don't know.
Like an idiot.
I do this every time.
Oh yeah, no, I've done the same as like if it doesn't make it, I've changed my vote when I realised like why did I do that? But Chad, what do you have for 6?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Kerry,
Same. Yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Texas Chainsaw. Kevin,
Clean sweep. Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
6 is a good spot.
Oh yeah, yeah.
All right.
Anywhere, I'm happy with that.
Top
Wait, no.
5.
I'm so confused. I guess.
Top 5. So we got Carrie, Jaws, Alien, Exorcist, and Halloween.
Yeah.
Shit.
whichever one I go with, it's probably going to be seen as a hot take.
I know, right?
Right. Kerry, what do you have for 5?
Carry of myself.
Yeah, I went with The Exorcists. Kevin,
I voted for Carrie as well.
Chad.
Yeah, I voted for the wife, Carrie. You need to bring back that hot take button. You had one at some point.
I just couldn't be bothered going back to the main banners because every time I do, especially with this one, I make up a separate document so I've got them all sort of set up on there. And why the hell did I waste my pool? But Kevin, what do you have for 4?
For 4, I have Alien.
Oh, yeah.
Kerry,
Jaws.
Chad.
Hard.
Yeah, we're on the same page, Jaws.
I had The Exorcist. Somewhere out there, Mark Riley and Dan Mills' senses were triggered when they heard Jaws at 4.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mark.
No. This is like the top 4 is really. This is really.
Yeah, just to introduce a special guest I've got back here.
You could jumble these up at any, and they could land anywhere.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's true. But Chad, what do you have for 3?
Alien.
Kerry.
Same Alien.
We're on the same wavelength here.
I have The Exorcist still.
Wait, what?
I stuck with Alien.
Alien is going to be at number 3, which means it's between Halloween or The Exorcist for number 1. And instead of putting number 2, we're going to just put number 1 because the other one is going to become 2 by default.
You know what? Whatever.
Kevin, what's your number 1?
As much as I love The Exorcist, I gotta stick with Halloween.
Chad, what's your number 1?
It was really hard, believe me, but I gotta stick with The Exorcist.
Kerry, what do you have for number 1?
Yeah, also I'm gonna stick with The Exorcist.
Which means the chance decided number 1 because I've got Halloween. So Leo, Exorcist or Halloween for number 1?
This top 3, regardless, is so good.
All right.
And like as always, the first comment I see pop up in the chat, and which means Lillian is deciding, and it's Halloween.
I'm not mad about it.
You can't be mad at John Carpenter's Halloween being number 1 '70s horror movie, dude. Come on.
That's right. That's right.
So good. I think Exorcist is a tad scarier, but that's the only real reason.
I think it depends
True.
on
Picking.
your
It does.
definition of what scares you too.
Yeah, because like the dude,
real life.
because the dude just picked her out for picked her out because she was walking just because you were home. It's like The Strangers today or whatever. It's kind of the same theme. It's
No, that's a good point.
But with that, the recap of the list at number 12, we've got House, otherwise known as House. At 11, we've got Rocky Horror Picture Show. At 10, we've got The Wicker Man. At 9, we've got Eraserhead. At 8, we've got Dawn of the Dead. At 7, we've got The Omen. At 6, we've got Texas Chainsaw Massacre. At 5, we've got Carrie. At 4, we got Jaws. At 3, we got Alien. At 2, we got The Exorcist. And number 1 is Halloween. But with that, as I announced the other day, because we did have a tie on the poll last week, there's not going to be a poll this week because next week's episode of Rankum is going to be top 12 Joseph Gordon-Levitt movies.
Ooh, fun.
Which is going to be a lot of fun. But Kevin, where can people find you online?
Yeah, you can find me over at, I hang out mostly at TMG Entertainment, TMG Trivia. We'd love to have you join those pages. We do at TMG Trivia, we have singles, teams, Geek League, which is currently going through a tournament to crown our first champion. We also have a sports division that's kicking off right now. And we would love to have you. We're also starting back up our debate leagues in TMG Entertainment. So come join our leagues, and we'd love to have you.
Chad, where can people find you online?
Yeah, I've actually been talking to some people about doing more things in the fan leagues other than just trivia. So I'm excited to get into that. But I definitely want to start getting into more trivia around. I'm in like most of them, I think. But I'm trying to become more involved in those. I don't have anything like to plug or anything like right now other than this, and I'm talking on here. So basically. there's that. I'm ramping up a lot more like letterbox reviews, Chadwick_Webb. I'm on Facebook because of fan leagues and all that stuff. So, that stuff's real fun. I'm always around, and that's about it.
Kiri, where can people find you online?
I guess if you want to see pictures of our cats, I think one of them made a cameo today. You can find me on Instagram at CarrieElizabeth17.
But you can find me on Take 3. I host Late Night Take 3. There will be one this week. Topic's still undecided. Next week's ranking is going to be Joseph Gordon-Levitt movies, and that's on Saturdays. Returning back is we're bringing back the Take 3's Reactors Summit, where we talk about the Schmodown. And this week because the awards are actually there probably won't be a late night next week because the awards on next week. So, but yeah, on the Reactor Summit we are going to be talking about the awards. I'm going to have Jacoby, Amaru, potentially Christina and Peggy if they're free to talk because as it's been confirmed they are on the draft list. There may potentially be more once the final list is revealed after the free agent special. So who knows? But they'll all be on. You'll even be able to find out there. And over on Full Metal, we've got Full Metal Random this week. Christopher Nolan movies. Erica Chia, Thomas Eanes, and Antonio Chavez is going to be competing. And Full Metal Classic is returning soon. Date's still yet to be confirmed. But yeah, that is all my plugs. I do a lot of things around here, but that being said, until next time, stay random, everybody.